Yes, hello, hello. So the way that we will be doing this for this the second Q&A is we will be going down the list of Patreon submitted questions first, with the deal that I will answer all of those to a various degree. If it obviously goes into spoiler territory, I will probably be cryptic or work around it. We will then go on to our publicly submitted questions. And also any that you have in the chat, I will try to answer either when I see a good spot or at the end if we have time. Thank you all to everyone, both on the public and Patreon side, for all of your submissions and all of the continued support that you give to us. And without further ado, with the slight delay due to my own idiocy, we will begin. We'll start with the top of the Patreon questions. We start with Asta, who asks very, I don't know if this is telling that this is the first question. Will there be more asses? Yes, 100% there will be more asses. Asses are beautiful things to behold. Why would I not put more asses in? I mean, yes, we do have the CG of the bath scene with Calbex, which does show us some beautiful assets. But yeah, we will be showing other characters' asses, more asses across the board. Assets and asses. Everyone loves those assets. But we will be showing those butts because I love butts just as much as I love every other part. um, but the follow-up question, also from Asta, I'm gonna everyone who's asked the question, I am going to name and shame you. Asta asked, and this is a good question: will there be kinky stuff or just vanilla stuff for Corwin? And the answer to that is yes. There are going to be choices that will contain kinky and non-vanilla stuff. It won't occur in any of the, or at least, I mean, to a degree, because the battle scene in chapter 5 wasn't what I would call vanilla. But anything that involves kinks or that like won't happen in any of the mandatory slash scripted sex scenes. But the ones where you do have a choice, if there is going to be some sort of kink involved down those routes, you'll be informed when you're making the choice as well. So we're not going to suddenly blindside you with something that you may or may not be into. So you can make an informed decision when those come up. But yes, we have a lot of characters, and not all of them are going to be offering vanilla fun times. A lot of them will be giving vanilla fun times. And I'm sure that the ones that are a bit more kinky, I'm sure that you could make educated guesses. Our next question comes from Palpitoads. Just says, why is he naked? I can only think that he refers to our lovely commanding officer Fen at the end of the latest build. And really, I was like, well, he's in his own home, and I know plenty of people, myself included, sometimes, is that you enjoy just strutting around your home completely in the buff. But also, we have to understand that the finite galaxy is much more open in terms of sexuality, body positivity. Just in general, it's a place where it doesn't have a lot of stigma around nudity. So although it definitely is, it was a bit alarming because Colton wasn't expecting it. It isn't, the weirdest or strangest thing that someone would expect to see. And his house, his rules kind of vibe. Maybe if we go around to his house more often, you'll see if that is a regular occurrence or if it was just he was preparing to go to bed. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that one. Our next question comes from Axel. That says, I've noticed this from the very start of the game, but why doesn't Calbex want another squire? It's been alluded to and hinted at, and I've seen a lot of theories going around exactly what has occurred to Calbex, but yeah, he's been through trauma, a very traumatic thing, both physically and emotionally, to him that has radically changed his point of view in a lot of ways. And the main thing is, like, Calvex is a very good boy, very good man. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt, really. So, yes, but that coupled with trauma has certainly given him more of a stance of not wanting to link with anyone. And there's more that will come of that as we hopefully see Corwin. I say hopefully, I know what's going to happen, but you can all hope that Corwin will help Calbex heal and maybe get over some of the things that are troubling him. The next question comes from Fanglicious that says, "How did they figure out that Brute and Corwin did what they did?" Well, there's enough clues there that the answer is right there, but a more thorough and apt description is incoming with the talk that Calbex is going to have with Corwin at the start of chapter 7. God, are we already at chapter 7? Scary. And then his follow up question is also, if I was to put bacon on Cyrox's body, would it cook? Well, it depends how hot you got Cyrox, wouldn't it? But if you're thinking of some a Naked Gun-esque hot shots where they're cooking bacon off people, it's like, I mean, he's a big red dragon of a man. I'm sure that with muy caliente is that he might be able to heat up some bacon for sure. We now speak of the devil. Have a question from Fenrir, who says, "How did Cannon and Calbex used to have fun?" I've been toying with the idea of showing off some of Calbex's younger years in either a side story or a prelude or something like that. But I don't mind showing that Calbex and Cannon actually do have a shared love of barbecue. And they would used to, go around to each other's others' houses after training events or after a difficult battle, and they would relax with various drinks and cooking good meat. And Calbex still has an outside barbecue. It's we didn't see it. I don't think I've gotten the outside back area drawn up yet. We're hoping to get that done at some point. But yeah, he still has. It hasn't been used for a long time, but I don't know if we get into if we get into the chance to have a barbecue, maybe we can invite Cyrox back round and they can rekindle some of that past deliciousness that they used to share together. And maybe we'll get some showing of just how good of a cook our resident Jim Bunny Dragon is. The next one is a question from Payne. I just pulled the questions directly from the channels, so if these aren't your actual usernames, I do apologise. So this is an interesting one. I actually had to go back and look for a moment. He's asked, what was Alex going to say before Zarya interrupted him during the first time in the canteen? It felt like he was going to say something important. And yes, indeed, in chapter 2, the first time that we were kind of meeting the gang properly for a bit of a chat, Zarya, which has kind of become this running joke of Zarya constantly just interrupting Alex, she did interrupt him. And my answer is kind of basically that Alex, being much more kind of up to date with occurrences, through his individual training on his home world, is aware of more circumstances and basically is kind of was more aware at the time of that scene of Calbex's stance on squires, but didn't have the chance to kind of give Corwin the heads up. We then move on. Let's see. Next question is from Zenin. That says, is Corwin going to get into trouble with Fen and Calbex for saving Brute's life in the way he did? Well, you will definitely have to wait until the start of the next chapter, because we will be going into I mean, the best way to say it is a confrontation between Calbex and his squire as to what has gone on, what he knows, and what the consequences of of that is going to be. Maybe we will do a barbecue cooking game. That'd be funny. Okay. Caustic. Hello, Caustic. We have a question from you that says, how is Maros doing? Yes, our lovely little Twinkie cat from the very, very start of this story. He is doing well. He is training hard. He is training hard, obviously, trying to get up to a point where he can come and join Corwin. But there are some other elements that are currently happening surrounding Maros, and hopefully, because I haven't really. There's been a few texts gone back and forth between him and Corwin. But we haven't really gone into in depth as to like kind of situation. But he is doing something interesting, and I'll leave it at that. Something, not someone. Right. Our next question is Basil, who asks. I'm just going to make sure. Yes, we are still recording. I'm going to be constantly panicking about that. Basil asks, Zarya has mentioned that Cyrix has a personal gym in his house, but where would the other knights and squires go if they want to work out? Is it included in the training? Yeah, they do have. They have obviously the training facilities at the cow complex, which they live very close to. They could easily head to the gym at any time, and it's not going to be any more than a 10-minute to 30-minute jog to the building, depending on how far out they are. Because Cyrix has a much larger stature and requirements for a good workout, he has a bespoke gym set up in his home, and all of the abodes can be custom tailored for their knights' unique requirements. Calbex's bathroom, for example, that has these holographic trees and the kind of forest-esque essence to going to the bathroom, is designed specifically to his needs, or rather the lupine needs. They kind of like that a bit more. But if anyone wants a gym in their house, they certainly can. Calbex opts to have his outdoor training dummy and a sand pit, because he prefers that rather than being indoors. He likes to train outdoors wherever possible. And additionally, do any of the cast go to the gym together? Yes, a lot of times. Like both squires and knights are very often seen training together, helping each other out. Whether it be in gym, in practice, in mock battles, whether sitting down and going through it in an official capacity, because they all have to make sure they stay on top of their training, or just for their own personal benefit. Yes, we might see that. We might see that sooner than you would expect. We go back to Zenlin for another question. That says, I have another question. Will we eventually find out what the plague is, where they come from, and why they've been harvesting planets and stars? Yes. Short answer, yes. I am happy with not answering all questions when it comes to a story. You can see it in a variety of media across the way. Is that you don't answer every question. You leave some stuff up to the audience to form their own headcanons about. But in terms of this specifically, yes, as part of the story, at some point we will learn more about the plague. And there are some other questions coming up that I'll give you small little glimpses. Okay, we now come to Gorlo, who decided to condense all of his questions into one bulk set. So we will just go down and answer them as much as we can. He starts off saying, "We can glean that Brute's a heavy metal kind of guy, but what kinds of music does the rest of the cast listen to?" A variety. The easiest way to say it is a variety of music. What we're doing musically in terms of each of the characters' themes is we've split it across the two main musicians that we have on the team. Hyena Blood, or Steve as some of them know it, he is doing a lot of our modern tracks as well as all of the Squire themes. And all of the Squire themes are fusions of various two types kind of pushed together. And I always feel a little bad when I go to Steve and say, "Can you do like Zaria's track and hers is this mixed with this?" So then we head scratch for a while. I throw up a few tracks that are giving me inspiration, and then we kind of hash it out. Grayson, who does our classical side of things, does all of our night tracks, which are all inspired or have heavy bases in classical musical. So we have the Knights above, which are all kind of classical music, and then the Squires, which are kind of a bit more loose and free and new. But in terms of actually what they both prefer listening to, a variety. We through the experimentations with Brute and then the track that you hear in the club in build in the latest build, which is called Eclipse. Absolutely fantastic. Give Steve lots of love for that. We've kind of agreed that the Lupines love heavy metal. Like that's their jam. Like at base level, they love that music. A lot of that. So we've kind of built that into the core lore that that's what they love the most. But it doesn't mean that they don't love and listen to other things. I will say this, Caustic, just because I've noticed you saying in the in the voice chat, we will be releasing the soundtrack. What the plan is, and it is a plan, so if I really want to bring this through to fruition, but we will hopefully be releasing a vinyl at the end of each of the books containing all of the music from that book. Because by the end of it, we're going to have too much to just contain on one individual thing. So we will hopefully be giving having the option for you to buy proper vinyls of the tracks for book one, which will come with digital download as well for you to enjoy at your pleasure. But that is that's the plan. I found and sourced a vinyl company here in the UK that will hopefully do some very pretty ones. But that's way off yet. We have to finish the first book before we do that. Okay, moving on to the next question. Is the writing inspired by personal experiences or works like Starship Troopers, the Forever War / Armor? I will admit I don't know what the Forever War / Armor is. I've seen Starship Troopers once, I think, and I don't even think all the way through. But yeah, I'm a big sci-fi geek in terms of watching shows and movies. But the actual story is inspired from a few things. The first kind of node that started the whole the whole kind of story off was actually the other VNs in recent development through the last couple of years. I was speaking with a friend, and as we were discussing the latest chapter of something that had come out, it was either Remember the Flowers or maybe even Far Beyond the World, going way, way back. But we were just kind of bemoaning and complaining, and he was mentioning that he really wasn't happy that um, most of the main characters in the VNs at the time were a bit wallflowers, kind of damsels in distress. They needed the main love interest to kind of protect them, support them, keep them safe. And he was saying that there wasn't much representation for a main character who didn't need as much protection or could, actually fight their own battles a bit. So that was the start of it. Is that I was just like, oh well, yeah, no, I agree. We really could do that. And since then, there have been plenty of main characters, especially in some of the newer VNs that have come out with main characters either with special abilities or their own training and stuff that shows that they can do their own way. And I'm happy that the In Finite Space kind of fits within that vein of a main character that can do more than just be protected, that they can protect. Doesn't mean that they don't need help as well, that they aren't fragile sometimes and they aren't vulnerable sometimes, but they can kick ass as well. And then from there, it then started evolving. At the time, we didn't have many sci-fi VNs. That's since changed. Again, really happy to be sharing our VN scene with so many new sci-fi VNs. So yeah, and who knows? Maybe some crossovers, or at least there's always the potential for some crossovers in the future. But yes, let's see. The third question from Gorlo. We know the cavalry is its own structure of knights and squires, but what other kinds of force, branches, sub-branches exist under the castle? So the castle is the intelligence division of the KAU. They will have one knight with many squires, doing basically a commander and then someone commanding a lot of squires who do a lot of data collection and feedback and making sure that everyone is abreast of the most recent information that is coming out, and also working on development for new techniques, new technologies, any new little glimpses of information that possibly could give the fighters just a bit more chance of surviving, winning, beating. But yeah, there are a bunch of other divisions that exist, all from helping recovering from plague attacks, all the way to long distance fortifications, building and terraforming new planets with defense in mind. Two other divisions, and they can interact. They can fight alongside each other. Let's have a look here. Sorry, a lot of questions here. Is the Asterism Union's military compulsory, volunteer, or does it vary by planet? It is completely voluntary. The Union never demands that anyone has to fight. It is always done through people who want to do it. They would never force anyone, nor would they begrudge anyone who does not want to do it. It is hard to do, and if you don't want to do it, well, they're not going to make you do it, because that doesn't work well, does it? Next one. Was Brute working as a junker before or after the attack? He was working as, oh god, I would have to go into his files and look at the specific term I've given them. But when first attacked, he was much younger, and he wasn't up actually like jumping around and getting junk, but he was working as basically like a little junk rat kind of kid, just helping out. And it wasn't until afterwards when like spacefaring became doable in the galaxy that he kind of started doing proper junker work. The cast members are at a bookstore and only can book out one book to read. Which book would they pick? Ooh, that's a complicated one. I don't know if I should answer that as in books that we know or just random books. I think, let's see. I think Alex would be interested in hmm, probably local geological surveys. Zarya has taken up an interest in cooking now, so she would probably be looking at more cookbooks. Eric's would pick up anything to do with emergent technology, especially from the kind of raccoon homeworld, where it's quite a scene of mechanical ingenuity. And what would Corwin be interested in? I'm gonna say I'm not gonna answer the one for Corwin because I've got something coming up which will I don't want to spoil it. Um, okay, let's have a look here. The cast is at the gym. Which machine does each cast member go for first? Oh God. They all are pretty proficient in everything. Zarya loves running. Um, Eric's is good at weights, and let's see, Alex is an exceptional swimmer. Um, let's see, I mean, Corwin likes doing leg exercises as well. Okay. Right, almost the end of Gordo's big things. Let's see. The cast is offered to pick up an extreme sport slash hobby: mountain climbing, skateboarding, jetpack, etc. Which one would each individual do? Alex likes mountain climbing, just from the benefit of having a very mountainous home. I think, given the chance, that Zari would probably pick up skateboarding or something that needs a kind of new equipment, anything that she'd never seen before. Eric's would like something a bit more relaxing. Let's see, extreme sports. He could probably be talked into skydiving in terms of teaching others, though he wouldn't be particularly happy about it. Brute do God. Brute would be interested in so much of it, but anti-grav parkour would probably be probably be his jam. All right, we've come to the end of that. Right, we'll move on to the next one. Fanglicious now asks, "What's society like outside of the military, and how does the government work?" So obviously, the KAU is the military, quote unquote, branch of the Union, but the galaxy still needs running, so the Union does take care of a lot of that. Um, the society, it varies from system to system. Ones that have been attacked or are often attacked are much more defensive and focus a lot on preparation and escape plans. Those that are less likely to be attacked either focus on their own agendas in their individual societies or work at helping the Union beyond that. There are also like vacation worlds, entire worlds and planets that are revolved specifically around relaxation, which would be nice to visit, I think. Okay, right, let's have a look here. We're going on to Commander Fenn's Poor Rest Incorporated. Oh, God, that's a mouthful. I see you in chat. Okay. Right, we have. Let's see. Yes. You've changed your name a few times, I've seen. We have a few questions from you, and they're biggies, so let's see what we can get through here. Kind of following on from the previous question, what kind of entity is the Asterism Union? Is it comparable to the Federal Union, the likes of the US or Germany, or closer to the Federation of Nation States, such as the EU? Is a somewhat unified civilization encompassing the lot above or any sentient bipedal race? How does it work politically, economically, and societally? It has been mentioned that Osiris was lupine, but lupine, Ursan, and such have been like in civilizations, as mentioned. So yes, in the kind of the history, as kind of narrated in our opening narration, is the lupines are touted as being the first spacefaring race traveling out, a bit like you imagine like the Enterprise from Star Trek, traveling and seeking other worlds to make friends, connections, stuff like that. And there are similar veins of when they met societies as if they wanted to be involved with to make friends. This was before the full-on union was made. But when allies were made and enemies as well, the early days of space exploration, there were tensions. There were there were species, there were societies that did not get on. But we also have to think that the time of the story taking place is very far past the initial stages. It is at a point where most of the galaxy has been connected, and previous ill blood or fights have been resolved, and basically the Union was on the point of creating galactic peace. Before the plague then started attacking, as like most of their efforts were going into just building up their and making it the best place for anyone to live. At the time, exceptional strides were being put into terraforming and medicine. It wasn't until the plague that they actually started having to pivot into weapons development, defense development. But yes, in terms of like what it's like, it's I guess the closest thing it would be like is yeah, like a federation where everyone has a say. Every planet that decides to be involved galactically can. There are plenty of planets out there that have chosen either not to get too involved or not as developed, so aren't involved that way. But yeah, they do their best, and they're at a much more stable. Well, they were at a much more stable point in their development before our lovely plague friends came along. Okay. Is there a known explanation of how so many races have managed to come together, work alongside each other, integrate into current society? Seem to come from all around the galaxy. As mentioned earlier, the lupines seem to have their corner of the galaxy, but so do humans, it seems. Despite the difference, they all share very similar traits, working together. Has that happened? You write a lot. Has that happened by some very lucky conspiration of circumstances, or were the races engineered and somehow they met each other on their corner? For being at first all the same and then diverging through evolutionary process? If so, for the many species we've seen so far are known to be part of the AU, how many are still alone and confined to space? So I kind of no, it's fine. I kind of answered this in the broader aspect. Is yeah, they've all gone through their various stages of evolution to then get to the point of spacefaring. And eventually to the point where they could travel between their individual systems, meet up, clash, fight, make friends, make love, and now they're at this point where yeah, the Union is as connected and as together as they possibly could be. How do measurements work, especially those related to time? For being one of the furthest sectors, I expect it to have different relation to time than others. Yes, so there is a kind of galactic calendar in terms of like what everyone can see, but each system will have their own timescale as well. Planets vary in sizes, days, weeks, months. It becomes a bit meaningless. So you can always check on your handy stick as to the local time and the kind of the central time, as it were, which took a long time to hash out and decide on exactly when it should start and how long it should be. Um, like going on from that, in terms of no, not Tomoko. Not every planet has 24 hours. Many are smaller than that. Many are bigger than that. And this is kind of going in is like if let's say a squire back home they have a holiday that is celebrated. Is that they will be able to request time off even if they're not going back to celebrate that holiday, even if it doesn't fall within the pattern of their current planet or the system. So yeah, it's just like some of them some of them can not take the piss, but they have like they come from a larger planet which has a longer a longer rotation. So it's like, oh yeah, this is my homeworld's planet, and the holiday it lasts. Let's see, converted. It's gonna be about a month, so I'll see you all in a month. And then they go off drinking for a month. But yes, they always try to make as many concessions as possible to allow people their time. Okay. Gorlo now asks, will the save screen be updated to look like a stick interface? Um, that's more of a question for Garrett. I see you in the chat. But we're constantly looking at ways of updating and improving the interface. When it comes to what we've done already, you can see that we've given chapter select and the music room and everything, and we've even made the little paws have braille like what would be on the stick. Yeah, we're always looking at new ways to do things, and as always, when it comes to these things, you look at other VNs, you look at what they've done, and you think, oh, would that work for us, or could we adapt some of that? I really like the way that they've made the screen flicker for that. So yes, there's always a potential. Let's see. Fenn's Poor Rest is asking now, would Commander Fenn make the face if I rubbed his belly? What about Brute? Um, well, it depends whether or not he ordered you to rub his belly or not, I think. Um, but yeah, I think, well, Brute. Both of them, I don't think, would be very happy about surprise belly rubs, and you'd probably lose an arm. But if it was like a reciprocated or a requested activity, I'm pretty sure they would like it. But I don't think they would make a tongue hanging out face easily. Depends how good the belly rub is. We now return back to Fenrir with some questions. Have any of the large plague ships ever been destroyed? If so, were there any plague survivors that have been captured and are under cow control? Well, yes, some of the larger ships definitely have been destroyed. As to plague survivors captured and under cow control, I think that would be very hush hush if that has happened. But I can safely say that no plague survivors have been captured to public knowledge. Your next question is, what sort of things are difficult for Calbex compared to when he was in top form? Has he had sex since his accident, or has he isolated himself completely? So it started off so nice. It's like, oh, what's difficult for him? And then it just divulged into some sex. When he was, he's still been recovering. It required a fair few operations, and and restructuring of flesh and regrowing with some assistance, with some very impressive technology. At the time, he during the process he has had to learn how to basically use his left side all over again. That includes like walking properly, using his left arm properly, and then getting to the point where he then could start going through training again to get to the point of being allowed to come back to the fight. Um, so yeah, he has had some difficulty. In terms of sex since the accident, well, he's been quite distant from people, but we all have needs. So I'll say maybe, and you'll have to just maybe ask him. Um, what is the maximum age that a lupine can live? At what age do knights who have fortunately managed to live long enough, but who, because of their age, are no longer recommended to fight, retire? That's entirely dependent on both their decision and assessment from the KAU. If you're able to and bodily available to, then you can fight well into your 200s, 300s without issues. Um, a lupine, their aging cycle is a bit odd. Is that they increase in size the older they get, to a point. So as they grow larger, they do tend to slow down, which is why generally you won't find many ancient lupines still serving in the military because their reactionary time is just not able to keep up, and also you'd have to get larger and larger uniforms and ships to accommodate them. Which isn't too much of an issue because they do make them for larger species. But usually by the time you retire, you'll be in your 250s to 350s kind of age, and you will then retire, settle down with your loved ones, and just kind of chill out. Spend a lot of time in the woods, which is kind of like a natural draw for the lupines, is that as the older they get, the more they want to kind of reconnect with nature. There's actually on their homeworld is kind of an area which is kind of like a retirement forest. Um, Imagine like a retirement village, but it's all cabins in the woods. And eventually to the point where they get to a certain age where they don't even want to sleep indoors anymore. They just want to sleep out under the stars, under the trees. Um, and eventually, when it comes to their time, they will then walk off into the woods and kind of usually just not come back the next day. And people will just kind of understood that they have passed. But years. No, and he's not that old, Soler. Um, and now we move on to, let's see, Gorlo's next question. We say, what are the life expectancies of the various races? Well, we've just talked about the lupines. Um, it does vary, but with the advances of medicine as well, most of them are living at least 150 plus. Um, if given a natural lifespan and just access to all that the union can offer. Um, the Cyrox, the Drakes, their lifespan are currently known to be the longest, potentially longest. What happens with the Drakes is when they, or well, if they ever pair bond, either with one partner or many partners, is that the kind of their natural body will kind of sync with their loved ones, so they kind of live much more reduced lifespans. Take that as as you will, but it's like, yeah, if if Cyrox does settle down with someone, he will live within a decade or so of his partner slash partners. Well, no, a regular, like let's say a human. A human would be like 150 to 200 ish, unless they live very healthily. Um, Lupines generally will be about 350, 400. There have been stories of them reaching 500, but that's another story. Um, let's see. Are lupines in this universe digitigrade or plantigrade? Both. There are divergent evolutionary paths. You will see in various bits of the backgrounds and artworks is that we allow both types, especially because one of our tiers for the cavalry is to actually have their characters put in. And I wouldn't say, oh, you've come with a character with the wrong types of legs, you can't go in the background. So yeah, we have two types, both types, all types. Why say no to anything? We'll say yes to it. Okay, Fens Porous. Let's see what your next question is. You say, what would a pet look like? I imagine they do not have house cats or dogs. Do they have weird gooey creatures with tentacles? Yeah, no, pets do exist. The just as we don't say, oh, a monkey is the same as us, even if we're sort of like distantly related. Um, they're not going to look at, a lupine isn't going to look at a terrestrial wolf and say, oh, I couldn't possibly have that as a pet. Um, but yeah, a lot of people keep all kinds of things, and yes, there are weird gooey creatures that do exist, and ones with tentacles. It's like just as there are many species, there are as many pets out there in the world. As long as you can take care of it, and just like any responsible dog owner is like, if you make sure that it's safe to be around, then of course you can keep it. So, now we move on to Martin with two A's. It says, how do the characters put on and take off those suits, such as the one for training? Do they help each other? Where is the zipper? Or whatever they use. Yeah, so I imagine you're talking about the training suits slash flight suits, the skin tight, very revealing second skins, as it were. Yeah, so when they are put on loose and then they form around the body, so you can take them off yourself without aid, but in as we kind of saw in the battle chapter, is that yeah, they're more than happy to help each other and do checks as well. So if you needed to get out in a hurry for whatever reason, then yes, you can do that. Um, Right. We go back to Goro. Given usually a crash in a fighter jet flying at high speeds would mean certain death, are there other ways the plague inflicts pain upon riding knights during combat? Yes. So the cow ships are designed for penetrating and piercing through, literally ramming into their enemies with their long drill-like protrusions, enhanced usually with heavy tech to puncture through. Them finding that this is the most effective means of actually striking and engaging with them. The plague use a incredibly powerful energy weapon, which can be fired from any part of them, which is always very annoying to deal with because they don't have like a gun facing. It's just like no, it can be fired from anywhere. And yeah, there are a variety of them that are designed to latch on and pull apart and reach in and get at the knight. And it's this constant back and forth. It's like the plague will send in something new, and the knights have to either adapt there and then, or quickly return to the ship to either enhance or reinforce or repair their ships, and potentially come up with an on-the-fly strategy. Um, this is where position like Jay's, who is his second in command, piloting the dropship, is so important, as they will be coordinating a lot of things at once, including the parts of the division of Castle that is actually on their ship, who will be pulling live data to provide as much as they can, saying, "Oh, a new plague ship has come, scanned it. It's got this weakness, it's got that weakness, it's trying to do this. How do we circumvent it?" So yeah, it's pretty hard, and hopefully we'll see some of those intense combats down the line. Um, Rob, I'll quickly answer your question just because we were recently talking about it. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of like very high-end medicine available to anyone in the Union, specifically designed for the like bespoke to the species. Um, to give them the best chance of living long lifespans if they want it. Not everyone wants to live a long life, and not everyone it's not forced by any means. Um, Humans actually don't have the shortest lifespan. There are a few other species, both some that are larger and some that are smaller, that have shorter lifespans, either naturally or enhanced, or just the way that it happens out. So no, I'd say humans are within kind of the median bracket. Um, with like there are still species out there that live less than 100 years, even with extensive medical aid. Okay. Oh, let's go back to Fenrir. Are we? Okay, we're almost at the end of the Patreon questions, and thank you all for putting up with me. So we go back to Fenrir. It says, "Why is Calbex no longer a commander? Did he leave the post himself, or was he removed? If so, why? He was injured. You can't hold a position open for someone if they're injured and have to go off on sick leave." No, and he's either not in a position to want to become a commander again, or not in a position where he's ready to be a commander again. And I'm sure no, it's fine. I love all the questions. But yeah, if he gets to a point where he himself feels ready to become a commander, then I don't know, he'll have to fight Fen for it, or get a new commander position. We then move on. Let's see. Your next question is: who makes up the AU's top brass? How far do they extend their power? Is it only at the union level or out to social, political, economic, etc. levels? Yes, there are a lot of top brass, and they handle all kinds of those things, all of the social, all of the politics, economics, with various representations from various planets. It is, a big push from them. Obviously, with the fights that's going on, a lot of their efforts are in making sure that people are as safe as possible and can live their lives as comfortably as possible, given the imminent attack at any point. What is the relationship between Calbex and Fen? Well, Calbex is the commander, and Fen is oh god, no, Fen is the commander, and Calbex is the knight. And they've known each other for many years. I don't know what else you're after. Can you tell me the address of Calbex's home? I want to send him a few letters, all professional, of course. Now, as some of you might have noted, there were a lot of letters on the table before Corwin came along and tied them all up. So he doesn't. He has a PO box. But he doesn't have a. He doesn't give out his proper address because, you don't want random letters from very interested people, or people just turning up on his doorstep. He can read. And the last question from Fenrir, at least from this section: at what age did Calbex lose his virginity? What was his first time like? I think that's a very personal question, don't you? Um, Calvex lost his virginity at an appropriate age for his species, and it was good. I'm not going to say any more than that, just in case it becomes pertinent. What is the story with Earth? Is it known or was it based on the last scenes of humanity? I mean, possibly. You have to remember we're not in the Milky Way. This story is not set there. It's set in its own galaxy. So there is no quote unquote Earth in finite. It is it's completely separate. Um, so, um, but as for the history of humans, um, and there's still the potential for more to be explored there within the story. So I'll leave it off there for now. But I don't know. Ask me again in a few more Q and A's once more of the story's been revealed, and maybe I'll answer that a bit more. Okay, right. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. And then let's see. Fens Poorest is asking more things. Um, have I cut off something here from you? It says, "Do we know what they're made of?" Oh yes, you were asking about the plague. For example, they look suspiciously organic. At least they could belong to a species. Is it a product of evolution? So all of the plague that have been fought against, including the butcher, are all bots. They are some sort very advanced, but they are non-piloted, autonomous creations, constructs. They yeah, they are made of this very hard material that is like, God, the best way to describe it is like slates overlapping each other, very hard slates that create almost like scales. Um, and interestingly enough, usually when they are defeated, they eventually, over either a period of a very short time or a couple of hours, will fall apart just into component pieces, which makes it very hard to actually get any information um, from the corpses. What they've managed to glean, what they've managed to replicate in terms of their fighting battles, are usually from recordings. Um, Whether or not any flesh and organic versions or pilots of the plague have been captured, you'll have to wait and see. Um, and then let's see here. I'm confused as to what exactly we call the plague. Do the inorganic monsters such as the bushes count as the plague? Yes. Or does the plague only refer to the race responsible for the creation? Because and then you see why engineer their weapons like living looking monsters. Does that serve a purpose functionality? Was inspired by life forms? Come from their home worlds? A lot of interesting questions. In terms of like, I can't really answer all of them because it might get into spoiler territory. But yeah, the plague is effectively the collective term for these randomly appearing, invading entities that are coming, harvesting matter from a variety of sources and hightailing it out as soon as they can. Um, in terms of like, why do they look like that? Very good question. Apart from the fact that through study they know that the KU have begun to glean what they're specifically designed for, we don't know why they would be designed in such a way. The butcher is the way it looks because it seems to be very good at grabbing what it's designed to hunt slash find, which is flesh uh, and delicious bodily parts. But yeah, the rest of that you'll just have to wait and see. Okay. Oh, there was more to that question. Um, what It makes me think that the plague have studied behaviours and culture in the AU in order to engineer weapons that can damage people both physically and psychologically, and is infuriating them. I mean, personally, if I saw a butcher, I would shit myself. Not only because I know what it's about to do, but because it generally looks so scary. Bash did an amazing job with the concept work for them. Last question for you as well was, how are you? I'm doing very well, thank you for asking. And that is the end of the Patreon questions. I'm going to take a little sip of liquid. Oh, as I'm getting a little bit dry in the mouth answering all of these questions, but it's all good. I hope everyone's gleaming as much information as they can. Let me just double check. Are there any pressing questions? They just want me to talk about sex. Here we go. Rob, you've got a follow-up question. Why cannot the KU track the plague by simply putting trackers secretly on the main ship, then send out a beacon when they drop out of their FTL travel? I'll give you a little hint for this, Rob. They've tried that, and they no idea where they go. The beacons do not respond. Either they must find them and destroy them, or maybe they exist in some other space or other place where the signals just can't get back, or the way that they travel scrambles the beacons. Not certain, but definitely trying to put a tracker on these was one of the plans. Tried multiple times, haven't been able to locate where these things come from, and it is part of why the cow is still very much acting on a kind of defense. It's like they can't take the fight to the plague because they haven't been able to figure out where their home is or how to stop them from their interesting mode of transport. But thank you for that question. Right. We'll move on to the public questions. These ones I don't have to answer. I'll read some of them out, but if I don't want to answer, I simply won't. Okay, we'll start off with Zach Martin. Is it possible to have a triangle relationship like with MC, Calbex, and Fen? I mean, it's entirely possible. Multiple, polyamorous relationships, threesomes, massive group kind of dynamics do exist. Because, again, they're not as restrictive with their sexuality or their love. But in terms of what I'm going to show you, no, because that would involve choices that would then start to get very complicated. So in terms of what will happen, if any of them survive by the end of it, I know what will happen. And you'll have to just enjoy that if and when it happens. But there won't be any triangle relationships, just because. Can you imagine if I ended it and it was the MC with one of the characters that you love and one of the characters that you hate? You wouldn't feel good, would you? Next question from Asta again. Is the combat suit a one-piece or two-pieces suit? So. It's kind of a two-piece. The Under Armour, the training attire that you see the squires kind of wear, that's designed to allow the armour that goes on top of that to interface with their bodies. This is mostly used for when they pilot their ships. Being able to take sensory input from them and into them from the ships to increase all of their reactions times to the absolute zenith of what it can be. So yes, they do work. They work together. Cody asks, will there be more time with our hottie brute? Yes, there will be. The next time that you will have an opportunity to spend time with Brute, it will be an option. Any of the scenes, the sex scenes, for example, the opening one with Maros, the one with Brute, the future ones where it's scripted, it happens in the story. They are important for a variety of reasons, and they happen when and where they're supposed to. But all of the other ones you will get to choose on. So yes, when you have more time with Brute, you will be able to choose that option. And for those of you that hate Brute with every fibre of your being, you can say no. Oh, here we have a question from Tomoko. How come knights and squires can eat what they please, or from what I can tell, I would have inferred they are on a strict diet. So it's in kind of two ways. They have suggested diets every day. They can, to a degree, change these every day. But there are times as well, like when they are on active duty, when or if they have either taken some injuries and they need to recover, where their eating habits are restricted. Or in the times when it comes to a training session, like we saw with Cannon, who Cannon requested they could only access a very small breakfast because he wanted them hungry going into the woods. So there is freedom, but it is restricted at other times as well. Oh, now we come on to the Bjorn questions, who very nicely has labelled them. So here we go. Knights underwear? Question mark. I mean, some knights wear underwear. I'm not entirely certain, Bjorn, what you're after, but yes, some and many of knights wear underwear. Second question. Will we see orgy with characters that have sprite? There will not be an orgy with characters that have sprite. In terms of like sex scenes, they will occur with characters that have sprites. It would be a bit weird if I just threw in a random character that we'd never seen before, but who knows? There's always the possibility. We now come to Crimson Raj, who says, will we see other Squires Packs characters in the near future? Yes and no. I do definitely want to show off more characters and more sprites, but we only just, as of Chapter 6, have finished spriting the main cast. And it's like, oh god, finally we don't have to be waiting on sprites. So that's going to take some time. I definitely want to show that, and a plan in as well is to actually have our Patreons assist with the design of some of the characters coming up in the future, with voting and stuff like that. It might not be immediately, and they might not be sprited until maybe not even book 2. But yes, we will see more characters within the universe, and hopefully shown off in a nice way that you get to decide to a degree. Okay, let's see. We now flip back to Bjorn for his next question. In what pose each character sleeping? So I won't go into Cyrox because Cyrox has a very unique sleeping arrangement. But Fen sleeps on his front for the most part. Jace sleeps in a hammock, face down. Cannon is a side sleeper. Calbex kind of tosses and turns throughout the night. Usually ends up in a twisted mess, spooning a pillow. And then for is it the squires? Yeah, or no, each character's squire. So Eric's kind of goes very fetal position and curls up almost into a little ball. Well, a big ball, bless him. Zarya has a unique sleeping situation again, which it's only because she takes her arms off for the night, so kind of like lays a bit supported by kind of walls of pillows around her. But her bed is also situated where she can get in and out without any impediment. And Alex sleeps almost like a vampire, like very rigid and like tucked in very neatly. Brute I would call like a disaster sleeper. And has also had fits of sleepwalking, so poor Corwin that first time on Belvos when they were sleeping. But yes. Okay. Let me just check the chat. I think I saw a question zoom by. And could you tell me anything about the reason behind the star sieges? It seems odd to attack stars in the KU when the galaxy is full of stars. Well, they part of the reason why star sieges are so awful is usually they will attack ones where they're part of systems that can support life. Those stars seem to be perfect or highly desired for what the plague want from them. So that's why they're so awful. Um, Obviously, the cow don't particularly want them to take any stars because they can always terraform a planet in any system, regardless of if it's currently suitable for life or not. But usually, it's absolutely devastating. And when it occurs, every effort is put into effect to try and stop them. Um, Look, see if there's any questions. Someone wants to be Alex's vampire coffin. Sure. How can Zarya take both arms off? You can't see how that functions. Well, hopefully I'll be able to show that to you at some point. But yeah, she takes off the first one, as you'd imagined, would be easy peasy, and then the second one, she has a very special trick for getting off without toppling over. Um, she always keeps them within, if you excuse the pun, arm's reach, so that she can, if she needs to, pop one back on very quickly. But she's known to sometimes sleep with just one on, and she'll sleep on the side without the arm. um, but yeah, yeah. If she, sleeping with those arms on can get uncomfortable. And if she really just wants to have a nice, relaxing time off, and she's feeling in the mood for it, she will take them both off. Lovely. I think that's everything. Okay. Let's move back to Crimson Raj for your next question. Besides the threat currently at hand, are there any other groups that politically or literally attack members of the AU, like space pirates? Before the plague came along, the closest to dissidents within the Union were some space pirates, who have since either gone completely extinct because they're not under the protection of the KU. They flee, and they may have just been snapped up by plague vessels, or they're laying low until it all blows over. But yeah, there was some piracy back then. Even though the finite galaxy was at the point of utopian society where anything could be provided, not everyone wants perfection, or at least they don't want necessarily complete happiness. Some people just enjoy piracy. Um, but yes, again, I don't know if that story will ever be told, but I'll leave it open for now. Who knows what comes after this story? Solaire, we have a question from you. You say, has the KU ever taken or attempted to take plague soldiers for interrogation, torture, or like? If so, what happened? I will refer you to the previous answer that, to public knowledge, that's never happened. Next one, Zealous. I was thinking, if Calbeck smells like pine, what about Cyrox? Would he smell like musk or ozony? I would have to pull out my smell library, but yeah, he has an ozony smell coupled with some minerally smells and sweat, in a nice way, with a kind of a slightly citrusy undercurrent because he does wear some of that. In terms of smells, all of them have been mapped out because I would like in the future to potentially do some aromas for them. But we'll get to that because I think there is a question coming up about that. Bjorn now goes on his big question rant. So let's have a look if I want to answer all of these. Will there be sex scene that includes character which doesn't have a sprite? No, because then it would be a rando. And as much as I'm fine with that, it would not have much of an impact. And I think it would make people question what more than anything. Can some species that are male get pregnant in IFS? Just like the male seahorse, there are so many species out there where they have multiple genders, or options. Yeah, it is. Yeah, there are some species like that. Everyone have humanoid genitalia, or some species can have anthro. Yeah, there are plenty of species that have all different types of genitalia. There are like plasmanoid kind of characters that are kind of like amoebas that have no genitalias or can form themselves into whatever shape you'd want. There are uh, semi-aquatic races that have multiple peens or multiple vaginas. It's like there are lots of genitalias, as many as there are stars in the sky. um, in terms of Rob, I see you asking about plushies. I am looking into potentially going down that line. However, early on, when this idea was first kind of asked of the server, and we're talking early days, um, that people are not entirely happy with poor print press in terms of how long they take to make things, how long they take to ship things, and the prices of shipping, that being the big thing. And especially with the current state of how things are in terms of merchandise or any sort of manufacturing process, I'm taking as much time as we need to make sure that we find someone who will be able to make any sort of merchandise that we choose to go into to the best quality we can get, but also at the lowest cost we can get for you. Because I think it's outrageous when you might buy something and the cost of the shipping is almost as much as the item. Let's go back to Bjorn's many questions. Another kind of interesting question. With advanced technology in the IFS universe, is it possible to people to change their genital? Um, yeah. Yeah. Hello. Oops. Hello. Well, what happened there? Who quit this? That's interesting. Not exactly sure why the stage suddenly quit. That was funny. Apparently, talking about changing genitals is against the Discord terms and services. To follow up the question, yes, with the development of advanced medical practices, nearly any option for body alteration or choices is available. Um, just as allies to our transgender community who are within the story and beyond. And also the fact is, it's sci-fi. Why not? Why ever say no to that? If people want any sort of change to their body that they can take that is representative of who they identify with, then yes, it is possible. You all can still hear me, can't you? I hope so. Oh, yes. Oh, you can. Okay. Good. 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 Yes. So yeah, if you want to change your genitals, if you want to change your entire makeup, the medical abilities of the KAU are going to do that. And if you don't want to change your body, but you still identify as something, you can use technology or anything like that. It's all accepted. And because why on earth, with a galaxy filled with as many varieties of species and people as possible, would you ever say no to someone else, you know, being able to be who they want to be. I'm just going to scroll back to see if anything here. Yeah, and as a follow up to that, Rob, yes, there is the ability for children. Yeah, there are a variety of species, and people want to have children, so there is medical aid available for people who want to do that. And of course, um, okay, yes, maybe it was for. I see you here. Okay, next question. Is there places on Belvos that don't have technology living outside civilization? Belvos is a flying satellite city comprised of technology, so no. At what age people must be retired from the KU? I answered that already. It depends. There is no must. Um, how many people in the KU, including squires, knights, commanders, higher ups, and think? Oh God, hundreds of thousands. Lots and lots and lots and lots. Dooba 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 doo. Who doing cleaning? Person or robot? Both. We have Ignacio. I hope that's how you pronounce that, Ignacio, who asks, "Is there a chart showing the height of each character?" It is coming. As we now have the sprite, or at least the design of Corwin slash main character being done as we speak, we will have a height chart put out. I've started assembling the sprites on a height chart, so I will give you the official ones soon. Yes, many people are tall. Yeah, Cyrox especially. Tier 2000 asks when you plan to release a new update. Um, as soon as we possibly can, as always. The unfortunate thing is, because I recently lost my job, I had to put aside actual writing, so I could scramble to try and actually get a new job. That has now been done. I started work this week, and I've settled in. So hopefully I'll be going back to that. But even though I was dealing with that, we still had our artists working away, making new wonderful thing. We have new music incoming. We have backgrounds are being made for exciting things down the line, including one of the biggest, most important moments in this book. Um, we have some CGs, many CGs coming. I'm really excited now that we don't have as much sprite work. We can actually start focusing on getting more CGs in. I see you, Crimson. We will be making a dick chart as well, but I think that might not come out until all of the variety of genitalias have been observed. But I might do one early. We'll see. Let's see. We go back to Ignacio for why didn't Fen invite Corwin to his house? He didn't feel the need to. We now have Tiolo da Supreme. Will there be any flashbacks/memories from the cast? If yes, who? There will be, but I'm not going to go into who because that might just give you a bit too many hints. Here we go. Gorlo. What merch can we expect? Dog tags, official uniforms, collab with Huff aromas, a 3D printed stick replica. So I've recently been on a trip to deal with some manufacturing questions, and yes, we do have some things in the works. I want to make a variety of things, but wanting to and getting to are different things. Definitely one of the big things is to actually get a cologne set out. I have been in discussions with Huff Aromas for over a year, trying their stuff and seeing how they fit. At the moment, though, they don't make colognes. They make scents that use coconut oil. which I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's because their stuff is designed to go on fur suits. And I think coconut oil is like non-destructive to that stuff, which is beautiful. Love that they do that, but it also means that the aromas don't linger as much as I particularly want. I want a alcohol-based cologne line. I want it one for each of the characters. And those who may or may not know, Hyena Blood Steve, our one of our musicians, is a fantastic perfumologist, who has we've been working together on getting our own actual base materials to at least attempt to make our own recipes for the scents that we want. So when we do find either a company that we can work with, or we make our own, we'll have the recipes for each of these smells. Because I'm very scent based myself. I love kind of anything with an aroma, and I like any sort of merchandise personally, and I like to give that for physical stuff. So we will be looking into anything sort of physical or has some sort of functionality to it. But yeah, we've got a few things in the iron, and when I have a means of doing that, obviously our patrons will get first dibs, and then it will be opened up to general sale. So just watch this space. I'm excited for it, but these things do take a while. Tier 2000 then asks how each knight became famous. Is there any competitions between squires and knights? Friendly competitions, yes. There are a few kind of annual events that I'm hoping that we'll be able to see at some point. It really just depends if it lines up with the timelines, but I believe we will. And usually just through merit and action. The fact that like Calbex, Cyrox, Fen, Cannon, they are known on various planets is because they either were helpful in pushing back the plague or helping with recovery efforts, etc., etc. Just through their deeds. I'm not answering that question. Tomoko asks how tall is Calbex and Fen. Wait for the height chart. It's coming. It's coming. Skipper.aic, yeah, asks, do guided missiles launches like the Javelin work against the plague, or is dodging these days? Anything that requires any sort of technology to do the piloting slash guiding has zero to little effect against the plague. They managed to very quickly calculate any sort of trajectory and change. However, there are sort of like guided missiles which can be sort of remote piloted by their firers, which are used, especially on like the drop ships, that have much more effectiveness. We have Dot Average who asks, who decided the best thing to improve combat capability was hooking up people who literally fly ships directly into the plague, was linking their nervous system to a new recruit instead of like a clone body. Or just of giving them plain dulling drugs. So the issue with that is that they tried. They tried giving pain dulling drugs. The problem with giving pain dulling drugs is it dulls. It dulls not just the pain but the senses. And they tried. I mean, that was their first efforts for a while, for a long while, was to use some sort of pharmaceutical aid to get them through it. It wasn't working. Like, it's become like the result of success has created what the cow state currently is, because the knights were hooked up to the ships in a way that allowed them to react faster by literally sensing like the ships were an extension of themselves, gave them the ability to fight back against the plague. So that was the first thing. Then finding out that the ages, kind of a slightly unintended circumstance at the point, was this kind of sharing of the pain, was kind of the next kind of breakthrough in doing it. But they're not like only new recruits. Like everyone will have been through the training for it, and it's not like they're surprised by it. That it is that everyone is made aware of it, and no one is forced to be like, oh yeah, you're going to join the army, and also we're going to do this to you. Um, so, why not require gene editing to make the squires more pain resistant? Again, they've tried things like that, like and asking the question is clone bodies and stuff like that. If you'll remember from the training session, they had a kind of gelatin sort of thing hooked up to the ages, and they just found it wasn't as effective. Pain resistant and stuff like that. It it's not that it dulled the sense; it's it didn't give the correct feedback. Like the kind of the feedback from the Aegis that tells the knights as well as like, oh, you're not alone, you're in this together, and also, don't get hurt because that they get hurt too. It has all like kind of resulted in the best case scenario at the moment. But they're not resting on their laurels. They are working and constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to find other ways of doing it. But the moment, it's the thing that is working. And maybe in the story we'll discover or explore other options or why other options won't work. But yes, it's never been their first their first attempt or their first port of call. It's literally their desperate attempts over many years has found something that is currently working, and even though they have a whole departments trying to improve it or try to come up with something else, at the moment they're just having to use it until something else comes along. How is Asta asks, how is Jays on ground combat? Gremlin, absolute diabolical, like a scuttling uh, murder machine. Skipper asks another question. It says, how big is the Stellarium Union and how many planets has the system lost to the plague? Ooh, there have been. I'd have to look in my notes again. I should have looked at this behead, but there's been it's been less than 10 star sieges that have taken place, but that's had countless planets and millions dead because of it. Um, and then there have been full planetary collapses, either because the plague have gotten in long enough to actually harvest enough that the planets become unstable, or the plagues have inadvertently or purposefully caused the planet to detonate or crack apart because of what they've harvested, or because by design. But at this point, we're talking about tens of trillions of people have died to the plague, either directly or through their activities. Will the MC and Brute? I'm sorry, I'm coming back to you, Rob. Just in the chat, I see this. Will the MC and Brute be teaching love on the battlefield classes? Depends how well this talk with Calbex goes. So let us. What is the most exotic species in the cow? There are still ones we haven't seen yet. Oh God, that's a good question, but I don't know what I would even class as the most exotic species. Um, there's a type of people that oh God, why did this start again? No. I don't know why this keeps quitting on me. I am sorry, guys. I have no idea why this keeps quitting, and it's not even giving me a warning. It's just stopping. The questions are too powerful. Yeah, weird. It's fine. It's fine. As long as you can still hear me, that's all good. So sorry, I was answering this question. I like. I would think because the second time was shorter than the first time, so I don't know why it would be kicking us out. Or at least I think it was. How long does it say? How long it lasts? It doesn't. Oh well. Um, but yes, there's a species of anthropomorphic moose that instead of like the traditional moose antlers, they look like illuminescent butterfly wings instead. That have, mm, for want of a better word, psionic sort of abilities, and they're very exotic. I don't know. I've got ideas of potentially bringing one in at some point, but we'll have to see. Um, not not confirmed. We have Martin. I'm gonna. Well, almost at the end. We're almost at the end. Martin, we have a question that says, "Do knights have fields that specialized in, if there were any, for example, like technician or sniper?" Yes. For example, no, Fen. I will answer only un poco solamente. um, yeah, like for example, Calbex has like the Master of Arms kind of speciality. And there are others that specialize in snipers, that specialize in all kinds of things. You know, they excel at what they're really good at, either within like the cavalry or within a different division. Skipper asks again, how fast could the plague spread in one planet? It depends how uninterrupted they are, and how large the force that appears is. But generally, let's say one of the core ships appears above a planet. If left uninterrupted, within a day, they will have taken 50 to 70% of what they want, and maybe a bit more. Certainly, within a day, they would be putting the planet in jeopardy of ever recovering. Both Crimson Master Arms, exceptionally with melee combat, but he Calbex is also exceptionally good with guns as well. Let's have a look here. Has there been a single planet that has resisted the plague alone without cavalry support? There have been a few that either through their natural planetary makeup or the people that live there have resisted plagues attacks. There are also planets that have been either reinforced or terraformed with defense in mind to make them less like, or almost like creating a planet the same way that you would make a porcupine. They make them less desirable as targets by literally designing them that way. But yes, we will get into that maybe more. We have David 4617 who says, "How tall are all of them?" Blah blah blah. We'll have a height chart. Crimson, the last penultimate question from you. In other VN universes, wolves can hear the MC's heartbeat, especially when it's racing. Does it happen in this universe? It can happen. Yeah, they have very fine-tuned senses, but also, they're not in the wilderness most of the time. There's lots of other sensory things happening. But if they certainly really focus in on someone, then yes. And Skipper, the last question from you is like a question to everyone in the writing team. Where would you be if you work in the KU? Oh, well, I'm the only writing team. I'm the only person who writes for this, but there is a planet that I adore, that I've written, that I would definitely work from. It is a one of the most prized destinations for taking a break on, and I think we could all do with a nice long break every now and again. Lovely. Dooba dooba doo. Oh, Crimson, I see here you're asking better than or as Corwin or as a marksman. Obviously, Cowbox has had more training, and certainly in his heyday, he was better than Corwin is now. Down the line, who's to say if Corwin can't surpass what Calbex was at his peak for marksman? And with that, let me just make sure I've not left anything out. Yes, we've gotten to the end of all of the questions that we currently have. I'm just going to quickly scroll to see if there's anything that I missed in the chat, or if anyone has any other questions. Dooby. Okay. Well, I think that's about 2 hours worth. Um, well, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for the long, detailed, and very interesting questions. And I hope that you all feel somewhat satisfied with some of my answers. If anyone has any pressing questions, or you've got anything that you really want an answer to, you can ask now. I'll just give you a couple of minutes. But yes, just looking forward, we are working on our next chapter, which I'm looking forward to just because of how much you all did not like the cliffhanger. Um, yes, so we will look forward to that. We probably will not have another Q&A until I'm gonna say probably not until the end of the book now. This was kind of halfway through, and we've got a bunch that's gonna happen, and and yeah, the next time will be between the books. Uh, Probably not until 2027, Grimson. Um, but we are working. We're already working towards future chapters. We are working on assets. We are because we have to. There's so much that we need to get done for some of these big chapters coming up. And as I learned from chapter 5, it's best to start early with some of these preparations. So once again, thank you all so much for coming and attending, and thank you again for reading reading In Finite Space and liking it as much as you are. I will see you all very soon. And this is me signing off now. Thank you very much. And this is the proper proper disconnect from the stage. Thank you and goodbye.